holiday apparel. Fa la 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 la. I don't know the rest of the words. Fa la 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 la. That's right, folks. I am in the Christmas spirit. I'm kidding. I'm not really in the Christmas spirit, but it is Christmas time. So with that being said, I wanted to sing a Christmas carol. A Christmas carol. Do you like Christmas carols, Vince?
Yeah, I like it better. I think you almost coined a new word, crumrl. You did Christmas and carol, a crawl. So I like that. Let's be efficient. Let's just call it a crawl.
I had a mini stroke right there. I did.
Well, I'm glad I can mock your physical illness. Makes me feel good as a person.
My palsy kicked in right at that moment. So thanks for doing that, Vince. You know, I'm kidding. And we don't make light of people with those type of disabilities. It was a joke. Calm down. But yes, folks, you've made it. Episode 7. Yay! And you know what 7 rhymes with? 7 rhymes with all dogs go to heaven. Do you remember that movie, All Dogs Go to Heaven, Vince?
Yeah, I actually did not care for that movie.
That was one of my favorite movies as a kid. And it actually kind of made me sad. I don't know why that movie made me sad.
As a kid, I was like, this is way too dark for me. Like, I don't like
this.
I don't care. So I've only seen it once.
It was very adult themed. For anybody, all you viewers out there that have seen All Dogs Go to Heaven, I think it came out in '89. So some of you youngsters, it might be before your time, but I know that it definitely was because I was like 7 the first time I saw that movie, and that was well into the '90s. But it's a very dark movie. Go Google it. Burt Reynolds is the voice of the main character of the protagonist. I liked it, but it's very dark. So get ready for an animated dark movie. But I just brought that up because it rhymed with 7, Vince. 7.
You could have gone with Lucky Number 11, which is actually a good movie.
Oh, never seen it. Why is it Slevin? Why is there an L in there?
I forget. I also saw that movie once. I feel like it might be like the character's name. I don't remember. But I do remember I enjoyed it a lot more than I enjoyed All Dogs Go to Heaven.
You are 2-0 right now. Those are both movies you've only seen once.
Yeah.
All right, folks. That's what we do here. You already know you've reached. And with that being said, we got to open up the show. And I am the man, the master, and I am the ruler of the world. The game we play is simple. 2 men enter, 1 man survives. As said by Psycho Sid. You know, we're WWE fans. It was WWF at the time. He said that. As said by Psycho Sid in '97, I am, the wheelin' dealin', Sullivan, the loud promo cutting, wheelin' dealin', jet flying, as said by Nicholas Flair, the pie eating, jabroni beating, the rapper that's a / actor, and I'm right back at you. That doesn't really rhyme that great, but I promise you I'm a better rapper than that, folks. I really am. But I go by the name of LAREN Maxstar Moore.
And I am the second most electrifying man in all of entertainment, Vince EUSTACE.
And with that being said, folks, you have reached episode 7, season 2 of Popcorn
and Boo. That's right. I'm back for the
Oh, look at that. What is it's a
Miller Lite. This is like it's like
not in a can though. It's not in a can. It's in a tumbler.
It's a bottle. But it's 16 ounces, so it's a little more. You can pour it into a pint glass and it fill up perfectly. It's very nice.
Oh, nice. Well, good. I'm glad you're back in the game. Me, I've never left. I'm still drinking water. But I got the solo cup, baby. Give it that image that it is liquor. It ain't liquor. But I will be drinking later, trust me. We are in a pandemic, folks. There ain't shit else to do. I literally sit in my room and booze up like a goddamn wino. It's sad. We're gonna get through this stuff. We're gonna get through the Rona. The Rona. This COVID thing's gonna go away. They got the vaccination. What do you think about that? Are you gonna go take the vaccination?
Oh, I think I'm like I'm so far down the list of when I'm allowed to get it that I'm not even
That's
worried about that.
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like Section 8. It's a long ass way.
No, it's fine though, because like I feel the people like obviously the essential workers get it first, teachers and like people who are actually sick. I get it. Like I've been very lucky to
True,
be
true.
healthy during all this, and I don't have an essential job, so I'm fine. I'm actually fine. Like when my phone gets an update for like software, I usually wait a while to upload it because it's like I'm not sure I really trust the first run of it. I'll wait like a little while later. So I've always been more of a wait till the end. So it just works out that I have no choice but to wait till the end.
Hey man, and I'm gonna try to put myself on that list soon too. I'm sure if you've got a long wait, I've got an even longer wait. But I've been as safe as I can. I think I'm. I don't think I think COVID has jumped over me. You know, I relatively think that, but soon to find out. Well, and kudos to that vaccination. I've actually seen somebody on my friends list take video of them taking the vaccination. So, and they didn't turn into a gremlin in that instant. So it must not be that bad. So for all you weirdos out there, for all you weirdos that think it's some kind of conspiracy theory, for all you weird conservative weirdos that are out there talking about you don't want to wear a mask, it's all a hoax. Get your shit together. Get
Well,
the vaccination.
I have an idea, a proposal, if you will.
Oh,
2020,
okay.
I think we can all agree has been kind of a shit show and not great. Why don't we dial it back, take it back to a time that you and I both find more nostalgic, and just with better memories. Let's take it back 20 years to the year 2000.
The year 2000, folks, which is our opener for our official segment, you guys, our only an official segment, because we do have a special guest today. I haven't talked about him yet because I'm special. He's a special guy. He's a friend of mine, and we'll get to him in a minute. It's another great episode, you guys. Our fourth guest. This is going to be great. But kick us off, Vince. Yes, let's talk about the year 2000 in hip hop.
Yes. So I feel like these were formative hip hop years for you and me. And we're going to be talking about the albums and songs that came out that year. I think you and I are about the same year. So I want to say 2000, I was a junior going into my senior year. So 2000, 2001 was my senior year. 99, 2000 was my junior year.
We were both still teenagers, yes, but we were getting there. We were getting there.
It was crazy. You talked about on the last show that like you were really into MTV, and this was a time where like MTV was actually playing music videos. They had TRL. They were playing, and they were playing a lot of hip hop too. They were not as much as like maybe BET 106 Park, but like hip hop was huge. Like it was very mainstream at the time. So I feel a lot of the albums in 2000 for me were stuff that I heard like on the radio and on TV shows. So like your Eminems, your Nellies. I got really into Exhibit in 2000. That album he did, I think it's Restless. With Dr. Dre. Did a lot of production.
Dun 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 dun. That beat was hard too.
Yeah, although I think my favorite beat off that album was Front to Back. I think Rockwaller did it. It was like, it sounded like the car with the hydraulics like bouncing. It was kind of the foundation of the beat. That was like my favorite one. So I actually was really into Eminem, but I wasn't originally into Eminem. I know you think, oh, like young white kid, probably really into Eminem. I actually came around to Eminem a little later. I thought he was kind of corny. I thought the fact that he was like attacking pop stars and like sort of like low hanging fruit.
Oh, stop it.
No, seriously, I was like, and then also I was really only listening to his first singles, which were kind of like the cheesy, funny ones. I'm like, all right, this is. Then you'd go to like the serious kind of. I took it as like mopey, like sort of like I am whatever you say I am, and I was like, all right, like you were making fun of someone in one song, and now you're like being real emo the next one. But then like when I actually like listened to his stuff, listened to the lyrics, listened to the production, listened to how he just like put songs and words together. I was like, God, this guy is really, really good. And I've been a fan ever since.
That's crazy. I tried to sneak away right now and the camera cut right to me. As I'm walking away, I'm like, shit, that's my ass. I just got a sliver of my ass in there. Wow. listen, oh God, if we're talking about Eminem, yeah, I mean, for God, and our guest could probably concur to this. Him being a hip hop head as well and a hip hop artist. For me, during that era, dude, from the moment I heard him to the moment he came out with the Marshall Mathers LP, which was that year, to me, Eminem could not do no wrong. He could not do no wrong. He was murdering everybody on verses. He was killing it. His wake up show freestyles were amazing. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if they had that in Baltimore. That was more of a LA thing. And
Yeah,
I was
I didn't find that till like YouTube, like years later.
exactly, yeah. The wake up show was a huge LA thing, and I was already out from. I was already had left New York, so I was in the East. I was in the West Coast during this time, so I was able to catch that whole experience with Sway and Tech. And Sway, who became one of the biggest hip hop journalists in the world now. He's like got to be top 5. You know?
I consider him to be like a gatekeeper of hip hop, someone who is like, oh, you like when you go to his show, like you pay homage, you respect him, and if he's usually pretty nice. He tries to like help everyone out. He's never really going to be like, oh, this guy's terrible or this person sucks. But I feel that he is someone that sort of certifies you. Like once you go there, do like a 5 Fingers of Death, or once he and Heather B kind of like, hey, this person's for real. Like then you're like, all right, you're good.
Listen, I since then, since I was a kid, since I was a teenager, I've been trying to get in the good graces of Sway, and I still hope to this day I could make it up there. Once COVID is done, I hope I could make enough buzz with his music and continue doing it and get my ass up there. Heather B, it's funny. I don't remember, and I think I've brought this up on a past episodes. I might have said this on the last season. Heather B has one of the most memorable punchlines that I think she did. It was either on I think it was a DJ Clue Professional album, or it was on the Lyricist Lounge albums. It was one of those. I can't remember. I would have to look up the quote. But she says in a bar, and sadly she's talking about my hometown, but it's true. I mean, they suck. She said, "Whack MCs disappoint me like the Knicks in the playoffs." And I remember as a kid, I thought that was the hardest punchline. I was like, "Yo, that is a dope." She's right. These motherfuckers, these niggas is
but that punchline has not aged well because the Knicks don't even make the playoffs anymore.
Oh, look at you. Well, but the Ravens are so great. I know it's a different sport, but you know, you like to talk about the Ravens all the time. You just, what is Baltimore doing that's so great in the basketball
Lamar Jackson,
or anything?
He put on a clinic on Monday Night Football.
Oh, please.
He came back. It was heroic. The Ravens have won a Super Bowl in 2012, 2013. So like last time the Knicks won the title was 73. Like we weren't even born.
Listen, that's great. That doesn't change the fact that DMX never ever claims to be from Baltimore.
That's not true. Again, I've said this a million times. If you look at his BET cipher, the BET cipher, it says Baltimore underneath. I will show pictures. Why would they put Baltimore underneath unless he told them to?
So you do that from Yonkers. You thought about from Yonkers. You already know. Sorry, I can't hear you over the DMX barking.
I will show you the screenshot of Baltimore.
Oh Lord, whatever.
I love King cipher.
I do love King Los. I know that's one of your favorite MCs. He's dope. That man is a beast on the mic.
He is. I feel like he kind of splits. He's like, oh, Baltimore, LA. He's like, he's been in LA for like probably as long as I have. So kind of like, oh, I'm an LA rapper now, as much as he is a Baltimore rapper.
And he's about the same age as us. He's like in his he's up there with us. He's in his 30s. So
yeah, he's been doing it a while now. Yeah, he's a few months older than me.
Hey man, he's been doing it. And speaking of DMX, in the year 2000, I do want to bring up. Oh well, no. Well, I will say this. Okay, I was about to bring up, and then there was X. That album officially dropped in '99, but I do believe a couple of his singles. I think, don't quote me, but I think "Party Up" did not hit the airwaves until early 2000. I could be wrong.
I know that whenever it hit, I know we were definitely playing it in 2000. I know that was definitely a big 2000 song. Like that was a song that my 2000s were spent listening to that.
I think it did, because to be honest with you, and then there was X dropped in December. towards literally I remember because I had the poster because I was literally one of my I loved everything DMX put out up to that point, and I'm a huge DMX head. I remember the first time I heard DMX, it was like '98. A friend of mine played. I had already heard Rough Riders Anthem on the radio, which was a big hit for him. But it wasn't until I sat down with a friend of mine, an Hispanic cat. He was a Latin dude. His name was Joe. I'll never forget. We went over to his house, and as two teenagers, and he put on the CD for "It's Hot," or excuse me, "It's Dark and Hell is Hot," and I listened to that album, and I had never been so intrigued and liked dark hip hop the way I. It was so dark, it was so morbid, it was so emo and street as fuck. But even being young, I was like, DMX is the truth. And then a couple months later, he dropped the same year, 2 #1 albums. He dropped Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. And then, cut to about a year later, that's when he did, and then there was X. And a lot of the singles I want to say dropped in 2000, but that was an incredible moment. DMX was, like you said, he defined the early 2000s. And he will forever be definitely in my top 10. I don't know how you feel about DMX.
I feel like a lot of the rappers that you say inspire you had albums, like big albums that year. So Eminem, Ludacris had his debut come out in 2000.
Yeah.
And
another one of my favorites.
And Method Man and Redman, Blackout came out '99, but I know like Rockwilder we were listening to nonstop in 2000.
That's right, man. That was a dope song. What was so dope about it? It was mad lyrical. It was mad hip hop, but it was also a club banger. Because I believe it was Rockwilder that produced that.
Absolutely,
and which is kind of where the name came from, I think. But the beat was so hip hop, but it was so club too. And I remember going to like all ages clubs and because me and my friends, we obviously weren't old enough to go to like clubs, so we would go to these corny all ages clubs and they would play hip hop. And when
real quick, sorry, what are all ages clubs? Because I think we had something similar, but we just called it something different.
So at this time, again, I was here in LA. I know they got some. I know they had some back east, from what I remember, but I didn't experience it till I got to LA when I left New York. But all ages clubs were basically, it was a span of, I think the starting point was age 14, and I think you couldn't go past 21. So they called it all ages, but there were cap offs. You couldn't be under the age of 14, and I don't think you could be over 21 because they didn't want too many grown ass people around kids, and they didn't want too many kids around grown ass people. Although we were like 16, 17 going to all ages clubs, dude, and obviously there was no liquor. It was nothing. It was all playful. It was like going to a big party just at an actual club. It was like going to a kickback, basically.
No, we had one in Maryland called, I think it was called Generation Extremes, and I think it was like 17 and under, like probably like 14 to 17 or something. And I mean, it was fun at the time because nothing else to really do. But looking back on it now,
there's nothing else. No.
Yeah.
For me, it was either that or wrestling, or backpack. I was a backpack rapper during that time, so it was either doing ciphers and backpacking with my homies. There really wasn't much else to do. So when the nighttime hit and my mom was cool with it, she was able to let me go out. We went to the club, man. We went to the all ages club, and they would play some bangers in there. And I remember another big song they used to play, which I believe was 2000 actually. It was off of it was off of the Rockefeller compilation album. What was it? La Rock Familia?
Dynasty?
The Dynasty album. That was 2000, I believe. And two of the biggest records on that album was Change the West Coast beat, change the game for these hoes, change the game. Big Hova in the house, Jigga. And another one was, of course, I just want to love you and be who I am. And with all this gas, where Pharrell produced the Neptunes.
Yeah.
And those were the two biggest. They would play those every week at the spot we went to. And I used to love the fucking way they just resonated around in that place. But those were the jams, dude. I used to do that song for karaoke. Have you ever done karaoke, Vince?
Yes, I have.
Done karaoke. You don't seem very proud about that.
No, it's just one of those things. It's like, I don't know. It's like, hasn't everyone done karaoke?
I love karaoke.
So the fact that you're like, have you done karaoke? It's like, yeah, like I have. Like I'm Like,
What the fuck does
I've
that mean?
definitely
There's a
done
lot
it.
of people that have. There's a lot of people that have never done karaoke.
I don't know
What the
anyone
fuck
who has
does that
never
mean?
done karaoke.
I know quite a few people that are grown as fuck and have told me they've never done karaoke, and then ask me how I've done it, and I'm just like, hey,
I think
I'm an
because
actor.
like my circle is like a lot of actors, like they just always gonna want to jump up on stage and be like belted out to the back of the bar and stuff, you know.
See, and I'm kind of
So
the opposite. Like, I am an actor, and I hung around a lot of actors and have, but I've hung around more hip hop heads. So whenever it's been brought up about karaoke, it's like, well, did you do some Jay-Z? Did you do some Eminem? Like, you had to do the hip hop shit. Like, I didn't start like singing until I got older because I just didn't give a fuck. When I first started doing karaoke, I was like, yo, I gotta do all the hardcore hip hop shit, all the fucking lyrical shit. I gotta do Eminem and all that. Then I got older and I was just like, man, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Like that Big Sean said, I don't give a fuck about you. 2000 was a great year, man, for a lot of things. Just pop culture wise, that was one of my favorite years. That's one of the years I just came to fruition as a teenager heading into adulthood. Pop culture music was great. I mean, even pop music was dope during that time. Fucking R&B. That was a good year for R&B too. We talked about Cisco. Like R&B was booming during the 2000s as well. And specifically the year 2000. That was a good year for R&B. And then yeah, it was a good year, you know. And I miss it. I miss it. That was 20 years ago, folks. 20 years ago. Can you believe that? Y2, what is it? I was going to say Y2J. I'm such a mark. The Y2K, you guys, was 20 years ago. Can you believe that? Can you believe that, Vince?
yeah, time really does fly. It's like, and looking back, it's like I know like high school was a while ago, but it's like it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
It really wasn't. 20 years ago sounds a lot longer than it actually feels. I literally still feel like a few years ago was like high school for me. Like, it's crazy. But a lot has happened since then. And now here we are, folks. Yes, in a pandemic, 20 years later. Who saw this coming? I didn't. Did you, Vince? I don't think anybody could have. And now here we are, reaping the benefits of a international pandemic. My, do I miss the year 2000. I need Doc Brown. And I need Marty McFly. And I need a flux capacitor. A flux capacitor. Do you know what a flux capacitor is, Vince?
Jesus Christ.
Which is hilarious because the last episode with our last guest, or the episode before, excuse me, episode 5 with one of our last guests, you literally said Back to the Future is one of your favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, dumb question. Whatever, you get the point. I need a flux capacitor in my life. You guys, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up that segment. The year 2000 was great. Our next guest that we're going to bring on, I'm actually going to ask him about his opinion on the 2000 era. Vince, as you know, I like to give a quick backstory on our guests, at least the ones we've had, because I know them personally. These are not people I've just found on the internet. These are not people I've had just short occurrences with. These are actually people I've actually spent a substantial amount of time around. And I was a label mate with this gentleman for 3 years, 3, maybe 4. And it was through a label called Broken Complex. We've talked about this many times. When I did my episode where you interviewed me, I brought up that whole experience. Started off great, didn't end too well. Me and Mr. Clean, who's going to be on, we're gonna get into that. But I think I just met him in the studio one day. I don't really know. Actually, no, I take that back. We used to do and he'll attest to this. We used to do a thing called Foundation. He'll remember this. We used to do this thing. It was a monthly thing we did. DJ Hoppa, who was the CEO and the main producer and the DJ for the label, he would do this thing every month at a place called the Little Rock, which is now Dark Horse, which is the place you went to on my birthday. It was a whole different place than when you went, Vince. We're talking about 10 years earlier. And I believe he was performing at one of them. And at this point, I was negotiating with DJ Hoppa to be on the roster, to be a Broken Complex artist. So I used to come to the Foundations, and this big dude with glasses, I think he was dressed, I gotta ask him this when we present him, but he was dressed in some kind of weird costume. I don't know what the fuck he was wearing. I don't know if it was Halloween. He had like a wig or a hat or a suit. It was some fucking weird shit he was wearing. And immediately, and Clean, got love for you, brother, but I thought you were a fucking clown. I was like, what is this guy wearing? But then he started spitting, and I was like, yo, this is all a facade. This motherfucker got bars. He be ripping and running. He does his thing, man. So that's kind of how I met him. And then we became label mates, and we have done multiple songs together. He gets it in. I got nothing but love for this dude. He's a friend of mine. I will let Vince officially bring him in. Let's do this, Mr. EUSTACE.
Yes. He is a rapper. He's been rapping for, I want to say, at least since the 90s. Rap veteran, holding it down for the real hip hop. Let's bring in CLEEN.
Hey, what's up, popcorn and booze viewers and listeners? This is my first time on the podcast, and I want to thank Max and Vince for having me.
Thanks for being here.
There is a common misconception, and hopefully one day we can get to that level. This isn't a podcast; it's just a Zoom internet show. But
my bad.
It's not a big deal. It's a common misconception. We just tell people that because we don't want people thinking that they could go to to some podcast one and listen to us. So
I'm sorry. What is it? A Zoom meeting?
Yeah, it's just a show, just an internet.
It's like
show,
a YouTube,
YouTube show. But thank you for coming on the show, man. I appreciate you, dude. You, Vince, you can clap now.
This is your test.
Hey,
and the
yes,
reason we man. That, let everyone know I've been clapping for the past guests that we've been interviewing, and when I clap, the focus of the Zoom meeting stays on me. So I look like a jerk for trying to take attention away from our illustrious guests, and that's the last thing I want to do.
And he doesn't mean that. Vince means well, man. But he gets like me. I get so excited about our guests. I start talking and rambling, and I talk to the point where the focal point can't even be on them. So you're here, and welcome from being on Popcorn and Booze, episode 7, my good friend. Normally, I'm going to kick it off with a question about kind of your upbringing and your childhood. But before we get into that, as you saw, we opened the show with a segment about the year 2000 in hip hop, in pop culture, period. But I did want to ask your opinion on that because I think we would be remiss to not include you in on that because you are a hip hop artist. I'm sure that was probably a big year for you doing things as a younger man as well. Give us your take on the year 2000, CLEEN, hip hop, R&B, mainly hip hop. Like, what were you bumping in the year 2000?
Well, in the year 2000, I was pretty much straddling the line between mainstream and underground. I liked the stuff that 92.3 The Beat and Power 106 would play on the radio. But then I would also go for, like you said, Max, the backpacky stuff that like you only had to hear at shows or you only heard at open mics or stuff like that. The stuff that wasn't very
or the wake up show, like you said, or like the wake up show or mixtapes on the wake up show.
You and I park our cars in the same garage right there, man. I did a lot of I bought a lot of blank cassettes and I recorded a lot of wake up show episodes on my stereo.
Oh man, no, that was a great era, dude. You couldn't catch me and my homies. We either, the internet was slow as fuck back then, but we would burn clips of the wake up show to CDs, and we would just listen to interviews and clips. And then one of the biggest things, and I'm sure you and your homies probably did this because you're a backpacker like me. I'm sure you were good for. Everybody had the CD of instrumentals, beats that were the most popular songs. Like I remember in the early 2000s, I remember I had different type of beat CDs, blank CDs we burned beats on, which, by the way, if you had slow connection or dial up any of that shit, it took about a week. It took about an entire week for you to fill an entire CD on LimeWire or Napster or whatever the fuck was big back then, or some illegal Kazaa or some illegal. We had some illegal ass, and the shit was so riddled with viruses. I remember we had so many illegal downloading sites that my poor mother's computer would freeze every fucking 3 seconds. It was so packed full of viruses. But you had that CD full of beats, and usually the number one beat on that beat CD was Grinding by the Clips. If you did not have that grinding beat, you weren't shit, dude. and that was the go-to. I don't. How was that for you? Did you always have that CD with the beats on it?
Well, I always had beat CDs with me. For me, the beat that was like I absolutely lost my mind when I heard it, but I heard it so often that it kind of like fizzled out in my head is Simon Says.
Ooh,
Oh,
with the Godzilla sample. Oh man. Oh God, are you kidding? And I remember they used it. Remember it was in Charlie's Angels. That song was in the movie Charlie's Angels.
I remember
when I found out it was a Godzilla sample. Oh, sorry. I remember when I found out it was a Godzilla sample and I went back and watched the movie. And when I heard the score and I saw Godzilla stomping through Tokyo, I was like, there it is. That's what they sampled. I flipped out when I heard that part.
And it's a sped up sample because in the original score for the film, it's dun 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 dun. And then when Pharaoh Monch said, but it was dun 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 dun, boom, boom, ba 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 boom. Oh! That should make me spaz out just thinking about that. That was a banger. Total banger, dude. Total banger. Vince, you remember that, obviously.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add was I was a big Wyclef fan back in the day, and on his I think it was Eclectic album, the follow-up to the Carnival, he had like a dub plate where he had Kenny Rogers on, and Kenny Rogers did the Gambler over that beat. And I mean it was like Clef recreated it with the guitar. But I remember,
I made my friend a playlist and I put that on it, and he lost his mind. And I was like, bro, you don't even know. I saw an interview with Wyclef once, and he said the history about in Haiti how dub plates are used for sound clashes and how they're one of a kind acetate pressings, and he wanted to put one on his album. But like the whole dub plate history is rich and really, really dope. And I thought that one, like you said, the Kenny Rogers Gambler on the Simon Says beat, like I flipped out when I heard that too.
Yeah, that was nuts.
No, that was just a dope era during that time, dude. And hip hop beats were just, you know. I fucking, speaking of Wyclef, dude, I loved how he flipped the Staying Alive track too for We're Just Trying to Stay Alive, or just, I think it was his version, and he flipped the shit out of that, dude. That was another beat I used to go nuts for, dude. Oh man, when he flipped that Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, I was like, go ahead, Wyclef. But no, man, I'm glad to know that the year 2000 was fruitful for you as well, hip hop wise. With that being said, man, I'm gonna go ahead and kick off the first official question in this interview, because it's all about you tonight, my friend, Mr. Clean. I do want to ask, and I always ask any guests we have on the show, and you're more than welcome to say no comment, not answer, but I like to ask about the humble beginnings. Your upbringing, your childhood, where were you born? Talk a little bit about Lancaster, you know, because I know that's you know, Palmdale area. I know that's your safe haven, man. That's your town. So tell us about your childhood and your upbringing, man.
Nothing too terribly unique. Just a kind of middle class dude coming up in a smaller town. Palmdale, by scale, was always considered a lot bigger than Lancaster. Grew up just kind of listening to whatever was on the radio, whatever kind of pop song crossed over, like Bust a Move or you know, Hammer or the stuff from the 80s. Of course, I was a big Run DMC fan as a little kid. Saw Crush Groove and Beat Street, and
nice.
I was I'm a little older than you two. I'm 44 right now. So when you were talking about the year 2000, I had to go a little further back than you guys.
Sorry about that, brother.
That's all good. I remember, but like
you don't look a day over 12, man.
Yeah, my goatee is
more gray there. Yeah.
What 12-year-olds you know have that goatee?
Hey, you'd be surprised with this. It's the water. It's the water.
Queens is different.
No, but yeah, man. Tell us a little bit more about growing up in that area, man.
Well, I was actually earlier today. I had dinner with my folks, and I told them one of my first memories that I can recall, because my folks were actually arguing about where I got my musical influence from. And I actually kind of sided with my mom, because Pops would listen to like folk music and like the guys that wear the Letterman sweaters and stuff like that. Mom would listen to like Aretha and the Pointer Sisters. And I told her one of my earliest memories as a little kid was watching a Earth, Wind and Fire concert that she was watching, and she's the one that told me about Prince and Michael Jackson, and like I said, I just kind of soaked it in whatever I could, because to me, like, anytime I heard rapping or anything with breakdancing, like, I was completely enamored. I couldn't look away from the TV. It was so cool to me. And when I saw Crush Groove and I saw the Beastie Boys, I was like, oh, people that aren't black can do this too? Oh, okay. like I said, I was like 7, but I was just like, oh, okay. Well, that was a big reason where I said, you know, and even a few years later when I saw like Third Base and stuff, I was like, okay, so the white guys can do this. They might not be as good at it as their black counterparts, but it's not something that's exclusive. So maybe I might be able to try my hand at it. And as I was being raised in Lancaster, it's just there's a lot of negativity, a lot of narrow-minded stuff. I would hear from my family and from other people that rap music isn't real music, and you know, there's no instruments, and our local radio station would proudly say that you won't hear any rap music here, and it would make me upset. So I would, like you, when I was a youngster, I would look for whatever, you know, any flyers that was in circulation for spots for all ages kids that would play hip hop records, and I would go, and yeah, I really didn't give a damn about being the only white kid there. I was just there to listen to the music because I was just so enamored with it.
Oh, that's nice, dude. I mean, I can't help but attest to that, man. I grew up the same way. It was just for me, it was either New Jack Swing or hip hop. There was really nothing else I grew up to. I mean, after that, it was rock and pop, but it was definitely that era you speak of. A little bit, obviously, a little bit further into the '90s. Like I'm more of a product of Method Man and Eminem and Redman, you know. But as a youngster, you know, that's where my fruition began. But as a young youngster, yeah, I remember Run DMC well. I remember Eric B, Rakim, you know, the late '80s, early '90s. I was young as fuck, but I remember being back in New York and hearing Big Daddy Kane, you know, rip it up. And then I remember watching the Big Daddy Kane videos when I was like six years old, and seeing this nigga take his shirt off and get all sexy. Remember, he used to get all Big Daddy Kane thought he was a sex symbol, bro. What's Teddy Riley got a hold of him? Because Teddy Riley was like the Diddy of the early '90s. Once Teddy Riley got a hold of him, he was amazing, by the way. No knock to Teddy Riley, but he was the Diddy of the early '90s. And once Teddy Riley got a hold of Big Daddy Kane, that nigga was taking his shirt off, oiling his chest up, and but he had bars, but he backed it up with bars. Vince, I don't know if you have any follow up.
In high school at the time, my best friend, his favorite rapper was Kane, and my favorite rapper was Master Ace, and we would watch Juice Crew videos after school on like UMTV Raps and Rap City, and then we would argue the next day during recess on, you know, who had the best verse on the symphony or whatever, you know.
And you know that, and I'm obviously I'm from New York, so I remember this not vividly, but I remember enough. You know, the Juice Crew and Boogie Down Productions had that big beef about, where did hip hop start? Where did it start? Did it start in the Bronx? Did it start in Queens? It started in the Bronx, but because there were certain things said on certain records, motherfuckers for the longest time thought hip hop started in Queens, and Boogie Down Productions wasn't having that, bro. KRS-One wasn't having it, so that was a huge battle between those two. Vince, I don't know if you got any follow-up questions about his upbringing.
I was curious to know more about your transition from being of hip hop as in terms of the music genre, in terms of the culture, because it was more than music, obviously, the breakdancing and everything. So your transition from being a fan to being an artist that contributes and participates.
Well, I would write my little raps in school in the back of class. When I was done with my schoolwork, I would try my best to hide behind the student in front of me and just scribble my little bars. Most of the stuff that I wrote was funny because I wasn't like NWA or the hardcore cats. So my thing, when we would rap at lunchtime, I would try to make my friends laugh. So I would write my little raps, and then when I was 17 and I graduated high school in '94, I gathered up. I would gather up the courage. Once I gathered up the courage, I would take like step by step these little goals, and I would say, okay, I'm gonna rap at lunch today, and not be a chicken shit to jump in the cipher. Now I'm gonna try to get a local show at a talent show and rap in front of a crowd. And the first time I did that, I had such bad stage fright. I had to perform the show without my glasses on. And when I was done with my song, I had the most splitting headache migraine ever. And I was like, you know what? You can't be a rap star with stage fright. So I just had to push through that. And I would keep at it no matter. And like all the negativity that I would encounter from people asking me why, and you know, you're wasting your time, this and that, that kind of fueled me, because I was like, no, you guys watch. I'm going to make it. You guys are going to see me on TV one day. You guys just watch. And so after graduation, me and my best friend Keenan, the guy who liked Big Daddy Kane, he and I made kind of a vow that we were going to be like a duo, and we were going to find a studio and record a demo tape. And we did. We worked on it for 2 years, and we started circulating it locally in the AV about 96. We added a few more songs to it. We pressed up vinyl in 97. We hit up disc makers, and we paid a lot of dough. And at the time, there was two seminars. I think Max knows about this because I believe they were both in New York. One may have been in Miami, but one was called the New Music Seminar, and one was called the How Can I Be Down Seminar.
I've heard of it, yeah.
And you had to you would mail out your product, and if they liked you, they would say, yeah, you're officially invited to come here and perform. And I mailed out probably at least 20 records, and I did get a few responses back, and I was hype as hell, but I had no way to get to New York or Florida, so I never went. But I just kept pushing, and in the year 2000, I graduated from tapes to CDs basically, and I would like make my little copy. I would make my little covers at Kinko's, and everything was handmade, hand drawn, hand pressed, and
the good old days.
Yeah, man, the DIY, strictly DIY days. And then my boy Keenan went to college out in Georgia. He went to Georgia Tech, and I kind of became a solo artist, not really against my will, but I was like, okay, well, it was always me and him. Like, we could always rely on each other. What do we do now? And so after he left, I said, okay, I'm going to take this a little more serious. I'm going to get back in the lab. I'm going to start making some solo songs. I'm going to buy a barcode. I'm going to do a full cover glossy CD. It's going to be shrink wrapped. Everything's going to be official, because the independent movement at the time with Dilated Peoples, Jurassic 5, you know, these guys were anti-radio and they were proud of it.
Tech
And
9,
so I was like,
can't forget Tech 9.
Yeah, Tech 9 was another one, man. He was one of my biggest inspirations, not lyrically, because I can't rap like that if you put a gun to my head. But like
it's hard. It's hard.
Ridiculous. His hustle is ridiculous. So I would always admire guys like him that like literally came up from the bottom. Even Master P. Like, I wasn't like a big No Limit guy, but I was so, even though he did it with dope money, like the guy built his own label and just put out release after release of music that didn't have no crossover appeal. Like, I thought that was dope. And like I said to myself, I wonder if there's room at that table, you know, for me to sit. So yeah, that's I've basically been at it ever since. Just trying to, like, I would press up 100 CDs, and then once I move those, next release 300, next release 500. I've been pressing 1,000 CDs since my Old Man Winter album from 2006, and yeah, knock on wood, I haven't come to my senses yet. I'm still at it.
I want to do that because we sort of like went from 2000 to 2006. But I'm curious about your time with Broken Complex and when you started about.
Oh, Broken Complex, BC, Army.
Well, let's see if I'm remembering correctly. I had some homies that lived in Northridge. They lived at this well-known apartment complex called Das Bajas. It had art by Mir One, and Flying Lotus used to live there. And I had a couple friends that lived there, Ben Yeoman and DJ Stereotype.
I think I remember that. Didn't we do a radio spot there with broken? Didn't we do like a radio spot? Yeah, I remember, and I remember tripping out because it was all this weird like hipster, eclectic, like weird. I was like, where the fuck are we? But I remember we did a radio spot there.
It was like a circular complex, and it was
weird.
In the middle.
I remember, dude. I remember we did a radio spot there. We sure did, as the crew. That's funny.
Can't remember where I met Hoppa, but I remember going to a foundation, an early foundation in like 2004. And then I'm pretty sure I met the BC guys, and they took a liking to me, and I asked them if I could perform. And I think after I performed at foundation, I want to say maybe 3 times, then Pedro kind of invited me to the Odessa house and was like, hey, maybe we can bring you in as an artist. I may be remembering that, like, maybe there may be some details wrong, but I believe it was around 2004, 2005 when I clicked up with BC, and they decided to make me an artist under the umbrella.
I think you're muted, Vince. Are you muted or something? Can't hear you. Yeah, we cannot hear you, sir.
I can't.
You're talking, but nothing's coming. Is it the headphones? He's using like budless air. They could be fucking your shit up right now. Well, he'll get back in a minute. So no, Clean. That's funny, man, because yeah, before I even joined the crew, you had been there a minute, dude. Because I didn't join. Hoppa didn't ask me to be a part of Broken Complex to 2009. So you had been there easily, what, a good five years already, huh?
Yeah.
Because the first that story I said at the beginning, that was. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say those foundation nights. Those were good nights, man. Like you said.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say foundation nights. Those to those. Oh, sorry.
Vince, you back? I don't know. No, those were good times, dude. And that was the first time I remember seeing you. What the hell? Do you remember that? What the hell were you wearing? You were like dressed in something, dude. And
yeah, let me say real quick.
He's back. He's back.
So let me say yes. I'm glad, Clean, that you're getting a chance to like tell your side of the story, because Laren Maxstar Moore, while you're on mute, called you a clown. I want you to defend yourself. We don't bring you on the show, disrespect you like that. So speak your truth and tell us what happened.
Hey, Clean is the homie. He knows I jest, but I really did think that. But you got to clear that up. What was going on that night?
Well, first of all, if my behavior was clownish, number one, I may have been stoned. And number two, if I was wearing a funky outfit, maybe it was on one of the Halloween shows, because usually on Halloween, I would dress up as Mankind. I would put on a white shirt.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I had the mask, and I had Sacco.
Bro, that was lit. That was so lit. And Vince, I swear to God, he looked fucking just like Mick Foley. It was the weirdest fucking shit. I used to host a lot of the foundation battles, and we would do them during Halloween. And I remember the first time I had seen it, it was when it was me. I was hosting a foundation battle, and he walked in, and I almost didn't recognize him. I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "God, is this really?" Like, he had it down to a T, bro, because he's a big dude, and Mick Foley's a big dude. So when he walked in, I was like, "Yo, this is the littest fucking Halloween costume ever." He had the leather mask. Oh, it was great, dude. It was so great.
So yeah, Foley was my favorite wrestler at the time, because his Hell in the Cell match was '98, and I think he won the belt in the beginning of '99. So he was top of the company for right around that time. So I was pretty much in for a few Halloweens.
Yeah, what happened was the episode where he won aired in '99, but he actually won the title December of '98, but it didn't air till January, because they always clarify that.
That's when WCW was like, "Oh, we have word that Cactus Jackson will win the title. That'll put butts in the seats." And everyone was like, "Click."
Yep. Worst mistake Bischoff ever made was telling, Tony Schiavone to say that shit, because they lost. And that was the beginning of the end.
He was doing what he was told, and he had nothing personal against Foley. He was like,
it was Bischoff. It was totally Bischoff. It was totally Bischoff's idea.
Right. That was the beginning of the end, Max. For WCW, that's what tipped him over.
That was the icing. That was the nail in the coffin. It's funny we're talking about this too, and we could talk more about wrestling, but I want you to tell more of your story. I do want to tell our viewers, Mr. Clean is a mark. So we're a bunch of grown-ass fucking people that watch wrestling. Get over it. If you like Marvel films, you could like wrestling. Get over it. These people that are like, there's people that talk shit about it's fake. I hate using that word. If you're a real mark, you never use the word fake. I'm sick of people saying that, and it's like, yeah, but I'm sorry. Tony Stark flying in a metal suit that's real? Like, get out of here. But no, yeah, your Mankind outfit was flawless. Flawless.
Thank you, bro.
Cool. So, tell us about your time at Broken Complex, and if you need to bring up Max Star more as
well. That's the hater. That's the hater I know.
But yeah, just tell us about your time there. And I know there was a compilation album I've seen on Spotify, and just tell us about your experience.
My experience with BC was mainly positive. I like I said, those foundation shows were really dope at the Little Rock and Tarzana. I would look forward to them every month. I would perform, or I would, even the ones I wouldn't perform, I would drive out to the Valley just to chill with the squad and hang out, because it was a lot of good vibes from them. We did shows. We tried to branch out. We did shows at like there's a spot in the Valley called Paladinos, right?
Yeah, Paladinos, yeah. Or you might be talking about
a couple shows over there.
I think so, yeah. I think that might have been after. I think you guys did that before I joined the crew. So because I don't particularly remember that. I remember the foundations being at the Little Rock, so it might have been before I got there.
I remember Pedro wanted to branch out a little bit and kind of get out of the Little Rock, but I don't know if those shows panned out, because we always ended up going back to either the Little Rock, or for the last couple years we were pretty steady at the Basement in Sherman Oaks.
Yep. Those were the last.
Like there would be battles there, and Max would usually either host or judge. I would usually judge, and then not long after that, I think they brought in Baca to come in, because Baca was like that dude that was always around, and we all respected his judgment as well. But yeah, my time with BC was cool. I would drive out to the Odessa house. I would hit up Hoppa for beats often, and anytime I had to learn, everybody got their own work ethic, their own way of doing things. The thing about Hoppa is he would never give you a beat and send you home with it and be like, write to this and come back with some fire. Like, he would call me and be like, I got a beat right now. You got to come here and write and record something right now, or this is going to somebody else.
Yeah.
So he hit me up when I was busy. I would be like, shit, I'm gonna miss that. Otherwise, I would be like, I'm gassing up the whip and I'm going to the Valley. And I would hopefully come home with a new song.
He did that shit a lot with me when we did the compilation album, when we did the BC album, which is why I stayed in that studio when we were recording that album, because I knew I would miss out. Which is why I'm on so many tracks, because I was telling Hoppa, like, I'm not leaving this bitch. I'm not leaving this bitch until I record at least 3 or 4 songs.
Who would want to leave? You got beats, you got weed, you got like good friends around. Like, I would stay there until I was exhausted.
Yeah. Yep. No, those were good days, man. I always tell Vince this, and our track record speaks for itself. If you go on, we have about 3 or 4 videos we've done together. I always loved, and I don't know if you agree with this, I hope you do. I always used to love the dynamic between me, you, and Laz. The 3 of us used to rip up tracks, bro. And it was what was so great about the 3 of us, and I wish we would have capitalized that. We should have started a super group, the 3 of us. We should have started a super group, because during the time, and Clean could attest to this, during the time where Hoppa branched out and started working with Funk Volume and Hobson, and he started blowing up, and I don't want to say he wasn't forgetting about Broken Complex, but he had more important things he was dealing with. So the 3 artists that were holding BC together was me, you, and Laz. Like, we were the ones every day. We were not every day, but every week or every month we were doing the tracks. We were at the studio all the time. So we got really good. Right. We got some really good records. And why we didn't start a super group, I don't know. We should still do that. I haven't spoke to Laz, but we should talk about that. We'll discuss that. But the dynamic between the three of us, dude, because our styles were so different. We had
Yeah.
three distinct different styles. It was literally when you listen to a Laz, Max, and Clean track, you know who was who.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you feel about that. I thought the three of us was money.
I agree 100%. From 2012 to 2015, basically, it was basically, it was like the three of us, because like Hoppa, he would still, he would still produce for like like Gavlin and
Self-provoked.
Self-Provoked. I was gonna say that young kid, I forgot his name, but
Yeah,
Self-Provoked would always like start showing up towards the later years. But yeah, it was always the three of us, and then kind of Laz kind of found the Lord and kind of tapered off. And Pedro always wanted to have BC meetings, and I lost count of how many BC meetings was literally just me and you.
Right, it's true.
So we're sitting there, like, where is everybody? Like, come on, like, are we the only ones? Like, Hoppa was off. Either he was like
touring the world.
And those fun, and I can't even be mad at him because the funk volume stuff he was doing was bigger than BC.
Yeah, no, it was. I can't disagree
go
with
do
that.
your thing, sell your beats to other rappers, make your money, bro. I'm not even hating, but it's just that, like you said, he didn't forget about BC, but he kind of put BC on the back burner, and
it wasn't his we were no longer that his priority. Let's just say it. We just weren't.
And we hung out and we did what we could. And I agree with you. Me, you, and Laz, we had a good dynamic. And I even liked when Minus would come in, but usually when Hoppa was gone, Minus usually wouldn't show up either.
Yeah, they were attached at the hip, those two. I got a real quick. I'm gonna tell a real quick Minus story, and then I'm gonna kick it over to Vince. But so we were on the first leg of the tour. This was before you and the rest of the guys. So the first leg of that BC tour we went on in 2010, it was just me, Hoppa, Minus, and Dizzy. Remember Dizzy? Dizzy was like our road manager.
Yeah.
So it was the four of us. and when I tell you, bro, I'll tell you this funny Minus story, but when I tell you Minus and Hoppa used to butt heads so much, like as much love as they had for each other, those motherfuckers, that whole first tour, they were just going at each other. And I used to watch this shit and I used to be like, it was hilarious. So we we do the show in Texas, right? It's in a flat that was Arizona, Fort Worth. We're in Fort Worth, Texas, and we do this really dope show at this big ass club. And then afterwards we get invited to this kickback, this big house party. And dude, of course, I mean, you already know, weed, liquor, some people were doing some other things. I ain't gonna say no names, but I wasn't touching that stuff. For me, it was always weed and liquor. So we get invited to this kickback, and it's just drugs and alcohol all over the fucking place, bro. And we end up spending the night in this room, and then some weird shit happened with some dude who was like being weird about four men being in a room, and it's like, like it was some straight homophobic like Texas shit. Like he was like, well, you boys ain't gonna sleep in the room together now, are you? Like it was the weirdest shit. So I ended up leaving the room because I was like, he's gonna go get Jethro and the good old boys, and we're gonna get lynched tonight. I'm black. It's like the beginning of a joke. You got an Asian, an Hispanic, and a black guy in one room. It was like in Texas. So I left the room, and I'll never forget. I went into this other room, and I ended up falling asleep. And I wake up. It's morning time. To Midas standing over me, staring at me. He's staring at me, bro. And I kind of opened my eyes, and I kind of jumped because I'm startled. And he's like, oh, hey, what's up, Max? He's like, I didn't mean to scare you. And I'm like, I didn't say anything, but the back of my mind, I was like, motherfucker, how long have you been staring there?
Yeah, that's not creepy.
Clean, when I tell you I woke up to Midas staring at me with those glasses and that hair, I will never forget that shit. And I told Hoppa about that. Hoppa was like, yo, that's weird as fuck. He ended up leaving that portion of the tour. Him and Hoppa got in a big knockdown drag out. We were at some hotel, and I love telling these old BC tour stories, but we were at some hotel in Arizona or New Mexico. I can't fucking remember where we were. We were in some Midwest state, and him and Minus got into it heavy. And next thing I know, Minus took off. And then it ended up just being me, Hoppa, and Dizzy. So I had to do like 3 shows by myself, bro. I had to do 3 shows by myself based off an album that had, 15 fucking people on it. Like, it was crazy, dude. But it's just a little funny minor story I wanted to tell you. Vince, you got any follow-ups there, sir?
Well, if you had more about BC, feel free to tell us. But my questions were going to be like about the stuff afterwards.
Well, after BC helped me put out my album "View from the Balcony" with my production partner back here, Elephant Gerald. What's up, EG? Shout out to EG.
Shout out.
That. Oh, thank you, Max. One of the reasons I left BC was because I never got to perform and have an actual release party for the album. Pedro and Mike and David had talked about doing it at the basement, but that never materialized. And Hoppa was on the road. I think he was in Australia or something. I think he was out of the country with Hobson and the Funk Volume Cats. So that's pretty much when I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy up all the remaining hard copy CDs of View from the Balcony, and then David and Mike put my profile on the alumni page, and that was pretty much that. I went back to being kind of like a solo DIY artist.
Yeah, man, that's oh, sorry, I mean, go ahead. Just to harp on that real quick. Yeah, those ending days of BC were rough. I know you had quit, man. I didn't get that luxury. Hoppa gave me my walking papers quick. And here's the thing, I knew it was coming, and because that whole last year, I think it was like 2014 or something like that, maybe 2013. That whole last year, dude, it was nothing was getting done. Like I said, it was just me, you, and Laz. At one point, it was just me and you. I remember me and you got there, and Hoppa wasn't there. He was on tour. I think Mike was like the only person there. So there was like nothing going on. And I remember me and you watched WrestleMania 27. Remember that? We illegally streamed WrestleMania and watched it because there was nothing going on. But
in the studio.
Yeah, at the studio, dude, because Hoppa was never around. But yeah, he gave me my walking papers, man. And I remember I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and he sent me this email, and I was just like, wow, like after 3 years, like you haven't been around. Like, I don't want to make this about me, but it's just like, I leading up to that, I should have been like, man, I'm out of here. I didn't give myself that time to, and it's because I was trying to get as much mileage out of that experience as I could. Because like you said, the first years were great years, man. At least for me. I know you were there before me. But yeah, you made the right decision, dude. I think Laz too. I think he dropped me and Laz from the roster like the same day. Like he was like, you guys are out of here, you know. So
were you and Mr. working on a follow-up to GAS?
No, man. We wanted to do more stuff, but we weren't going to do. And don't get me started with that, because they did little to no promotion for that mixtape, for that album. And me and Mr. put our sweat and tears into that, to where me and Mr. were recording raw like vocals at his apartment with his girlfriend, keeping her awake. And it was months and months and months, and Hoppa was just not taking that seriously. And then I did the Fast Lane video. I'm the first person that Hoppa did a music video with. I was the first BC music video. As far as like with him filming it himself, it was a BC camera. I was the first music video, and I was with Fast Lane. But we never did a follow-up. Never. And I used to tell Hoppa, like, yo, not only should we do a follow-up, I used to tell Hoppa, we should have done a second compilation album, a second BC album, because that would have been major, dude. Because we were bubbling by that point, but Hoppa was bubbling with Funk Volume. That would have been great. That would have been great promotion for that if we had did a second compilation album. But nah, he wasn't feeling it. Yeah, so no GAS too. Might have to do that independently, you know.
Clean.
Yeah, just keep grinding, and just like me, keep at it.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Sorry,
man.
Vince. My bad.
No worries. I'm glad you brought up your partnership with Elephant Gerald. I was listening to some of your stuff, and my personal opinion is I really think you have a good ear for beats. I think that, like, in terms of the stuff that you are like, oh, here, and it just fits with what I sonically think is good. And I feel that your partnership with Elephant Gerald has been really good for you. I feel like you guys work really well together, and I feel it makes really good music. I wanted to ask you about the song White Morning, song that I checked out, and I love that song. I think that it's I love the themes of it. I love the lyricism in it. But I just wanted to hear more about it because I know LAREN has gotten on me for this, talking to some of our guests about sports. But I love the
Here we go.
But I love the fact that you said that you were inspired by some of your favorite athletes. But aside from sports, I felt the song was like universal for men, for humans, just to like get to a certain age and be like, all right, like when do we have to sort of like call it quits? So just sort of like give me your mindset about how that song came about.
Well, I remember back years earlier when I was in school, I along with wrestling and hip hop music, I was a big sports fan. I used to watch, the Showtime Lakers with Magic and James Worthy, and football, Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen. They were the Los Angeles Raiders back when I was a youngster. So sports has always been on the brain for me. And I remember when Wayne Gretzky retired. He was one of the reasons I got into hockey. I knew nothing about hockey until everything was Gretzky, the great one, number 99. And when he retired, he was crying so hard he couldn't even speak. He couldn't even form words. And I just thought to myself, man, these guys maybe, let's say you start playing pee-wee hockey when you're 7 and you retire when you're 47. So for 40 years, this one particular activity that you used to do as a kid for fun, and as a youth and as an adult, you got paid millions of dollars for. This thing that's been an immense part of your life. One day you wake up and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, God, I can't do this anymore. What am I going to do now? And some of these guys, they don't know how to deal with it. I remember reading, I'm a Raiders fan, and I remember reading about this player on the Raiders named Bob Golick. And when Golick retired, he didn't want to leave the field. The game ended, the fans left, and Golick was aimlessly wandering the field at the Coliseum, still in his uniform, crying his eyes out, because he knew once he took it off, he was never going to put it back on. And to me, that's a powerful emotion when you see guys retire from something that they don't want to retire from because they still have the passion for it, but physically their body's just breaking down and they can't go anymore. So
like the Undertaker, just like the Undertaker.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. The Undertaker is a perfect example.
Undertaker, yep.
And it's funny because you ended that song with an Undertaker reference.
Yeah, I mentioned the Undertaker. This was before he had his match where he left his gloves and his boots and his hat in the ring. Like, that brought a tear to my eye, man. I'm a grown-ass adult, and I was just like, oh.
That shit was sad.
It. Like, so a part of my childhood's just not there anymore.
And what was even sadder, it was off a terrible match with him and Roman.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, as far as the subject matter, I wondered if people that were maybe even if they weren't necessarily huge fans of mine, but they were like fans of sports, anybody, if you've ever played a sport and you had to stop playing it because your knee went out or whatever, like, I wanted to make a song that a lot of people could relate to, even if they never became a professional athlete. And to me, when you see that light at the end of the tunnel in the morning, you wake up, you look at yourself in the mirror, and you're like, this is it. This is my white morning. I know now that I can't do it anymore. And to me, it was when I get an idea in my head as far as like a potential song idea, I have to write a song about it, even if that song never sees the light of day. I have to write it out. Otherwise, it's never going to leave my head. It'll keep rattling around in there. But I wrote that one to one of my favorite EG Beats, and he's kind of like my executive producer, so I read him the verses. He loved it, and that ended up being one of our signature joints that we used to perform.
No, it's a phenomenal song, and I told you I love the concept. In terms of tying like the sports to hip hop, because like I feel that there was a reason why you sort of ended the song with the Alcoholics sample, where like, oh, peace out to all the rappers still rhyming over 30.
Yeah.
So because I know that there is, at least there was, or still is, sort of like a thought process of hip hop is a young person's game, but it's not like sports where like your body breaks down, like your mind still goes for a little longer. So like tell us how your thought process was in terms of like, oh, once you're over 30 and still rapping, like how does that tie into the song?
I actually wrote an unofficial sequel to a White Morning. It's going to be on my upcoming project that I'm actually going to mix down next weekend. It's called Cash for Gold. It's about how rappers. I had friends that would see. Like I remember, I was watching a video with one of my friends, and it was an Ice-T song, and he just kind of my friend just kind of was like, man, this fool needs to just give it up. He can't rap no more. And there's a lot of people that think that, like you said, hip hop is a young man's game, but like even if your music ain't the same as it is, or as it was rather, if you keep going strictly for the love, even if you don't see a profit from it, even if you don't sell out arenas like you used to, if you keep going just because you love it, like to me that's the ultimate respect. Because I have people back home that would like hear that Peter Guns is the new host of the TV show Cheaters, and Buckshot from Black Moon, yeah, or like Buckshot from Black Moon is selling real estate, on some infomercial at 4 a.m. And it's just like, oh, you don't want to see your lyrical heroes go out like that. It's easy to sit back and say, oh, look at so and so, he fell off. But even if your label drops you, if you keep going indie status when you're like 40, 48, 49 years old, like that's respect. You're a true head. You weren't just in it for the paycheck. Like I respect dudes that do it strictly for the love of doing it, even if other people might be like, he fell off. Like, he might not be what he was, but at least he didn't crawl into a rock and drift away into obscurity. Like he's still at it. That to me is worthy of some respect.
Absolutely.
I gotta give you your props, Clean. Speaking on that, to harp more on that, dude, I have to give you your props and show mad respect, because as a rapper, obviously, you know I'm a rapper as well. I've grown to be very frustrated with hip hop, and I think the only thing that keeps me doing music is the love for it. But I have so many other things to balance it out. I'm an actor and I'm a comedian as well. You don't have that. You don't do that. You pound the pavement with hip hop. So the fact that you don't get as worn out, like if I were still just doing rap like I was a few years ago, like even during the Broken Complex days, I had put comedy and acting on the shelf to strictly be a rapper, and I really wanted to do that. And then I got to a point where I was like, I'm losing my mind, and that's when I started getting back into acting. And I was like, I need to go back to acting. I need to go back to comedy. But you don't do other, you don't have any other accolades that you could jump to. And the fact that you have the patience to still, being older, still have the wherewithal and the drive to want to rap. Like I'll see you post stuff on Facebook, and I'll be like, yo, Clean is nuts. How does he have the energy to fuck, like, and no disrespect, it's not me clowning, it's just I'm only projecting on you how I feel about myself. And really what it is,
I feel you, Max.
Yeah, no, it's always like, damn, Clean is really fucking dedicated. Like, I still see you doing local shows. You're still pressing out your shit independently. I mean, we're in a new era now, so you can just put shit out on the internet. But you have the energy and the patience to do that. And brother, I have to commend you for that. Because my passion for hip hop has slipped quite a bit. But I love hip hop. I love doing music. But much respect to you, man. Props to you, brother.
I appreciate you saying that, Max. I always tell people I'll stop doing this when it stops being fun. And right now I'm still having fun.
Awesome. And I like that. You're literally you're not up there in age, but you're literally the Undertaker of hip hop in our generation, bro.
I will take it. I
love it, dude. I love it.
To sort of piggyback off of, like you said, you'll stop when this stops being fun. I feel like one of the parallels of that song was, did you see The Last Dance at all? The Bulls?
Yes.
So I remember Jordan at some point said, everyone was like, oh man, you retired at just the right moment. Like you retired on top. And he's like, I don't want to retire on top. Like I want to go until I'm done. Like I still have gas in the tank. And I've heard like Tom Brady has said the same thing. And I feel like athletes have that mentality of, I don't want to, like, aside from like Barry Sanders and like select few, but for the most part, people are like, oh, I want to go until you literally have to drag me off.
Yeah.
Like, do you have that same mentality as well?
Well, I trust the judgment of my peers and my squad out here, and I tell them that I don't want them to be yes men. And if I play them some new stuff that I'm working on, if they think it's garbage, I need them to tell me that it's garbage. Don't just pad my ego to refrain from hurting my feelings. If I make something and I'm like, what do you guys think? If they say it's trash, then I'll trust their judgment, because for the most part we agree, but every now and then they'll shit on one of my songs and I'll be like, no, this is dope. This is going on the next project. But I kind of like I said, I trust my friends' judgment, and I trust kind of like the voice in my head. I'll listen to something and I'll know. Like lyrically, Max, you said your love for hip hop has dwindled. My mindset has changed the older I got. Like I can't. It's so frustrating because it feels involuntary to me. But like the older I get, like when I was in my 20s, I didn't give a damn about world issues, what was happening in the West Bank with Israel and Palestine, you know, who got assassinated here and there. I didn't give a damn. The older I get, the more of these world issues that I'm reading about, they're starting to seep into my lyrics. And I kind of like don't like that, but it's almost involuntary. I got a beat from my homeboy in Sacramento, Mike Colossal, and it was a really dope beat. It had congas, it had this chick singing in French. And I ended up writing a song about how Fukushima polluted the Pacific Ocean. I didn't set out to write about pollution, but that's how it came out, because the older I get, I can't just bar out like I did when I was 20 about, you know, I can't just write 16 bars of, you know, I'm a better rapper than you. Like I start incorporating serious issues, and sometimes even when I don't want to, I'll write it and then I'll pause and I'll be like, no, I gotta get rid of that. This is not a serious song. This is like a party rock song. But like the older I get, like the more I can feel myself like changing directions lyrically, and I don't want to be like, I've never pictured myself as like a political rapper, Chuck D type, somebody that gets on the mic and preaches to people. And I never wanted to become that, because I never thought I would be any good at it. But like as soon as when I hear stuff that I make and I note and I try to listen to it from an outside ear, that's when I'll be like, okay, you know, if I'm just cranking this kind of music out almost involuntarily, then maybe I should kind of fall back with it.
I think that like I think it's great, because in all honesty, my personal opinion, and I haven't heard your entire catalog, but like I've heard a lot of your stuff. Laren sent me a lot of your stuff like the past few days that I've listened to, and I like your older stuff, but I found that I truly really enjoy your newer stuff. And I think there's like a maturity, and I think there's an authenticity. Not that it wasn't there before, but I feel that you are being true to yourself. You're being authentic. Like, oh, here's where my mindset is now. Yeah. So here's what I'm going to talk about. And it's resonating in the music.
I remember when the Beastie Boys put out their anthology and they got interviewed. And one quote, I think it was Mike D, and it really resonated with me. He said, I want to have, God, I'm going to misquote him now. But he said something along the lines
just paraphrase it.
He said something along the lines of, I want to grow old with my fan base. I want the people that was listening to me in '86 to still be listening to me now. So I know that like some 20-year-old kid that just downloads a song that one of his friends or his dad or somebody from a previous generation said, hey, this is dope. He might not want to listen to a song about a world issue like pollution or whatever the hell I'm rapping about. But like, if older cats like you dig it more so than even like, it almost kind of affects my self-confidence. Like I'm like, should I put this out? Will anybody give a shit about a song about the Pacific Ocean or like whatever else I'm rapping about, like, you know, Boko Haram, or, you know, like I wonder if anyone's gonna care, and if enough people don't care, then I'll stop. But like it's nice to hear you say that, because I don't get a lot of positive criticism back from some of my more serious songs.
And it's funny, it's funny you say that, man. To revert back to what you said earlier about, you know, your passion, the fact that you find yourself dumbing down your bars to a degree to write more songs. I think that's, to be honest, I relate more so rapper to rapper. I relate to that more than anything because I think that's, you mentioned that hip hop for me is dwindled a little bit, but what gives me a resurgence is being able to go bar for bar sometimes. But what keeps me leveled and what keeps me wanting to continue to do hip hop is the fact that I'm a singer as well and a songwriter. So I find myself much like you. I can't dust MCs like I did when I was 19 and you know what I'm saying? Like even the Broken Complex days, I was trying to out rap all you motherfuckers, every fucking song we did. And because hip hop is like that, it's friendly competition.
It is. It is.
Every record me, you, and Laz did, I wanted to be the best. But I was inspired by you guys to be the best is the thing. Because I knew you motherfuckers could kick some shit. So I was like, yo, I gotta outshine these motherfuckers. So the fact that I'm at a point now, just like you, because I'm older, I can level it out with just writing songs. That's what gives me that's what brings me back to life with hip hop, man. And that's what brings me back to life to start to get in the studio. It's that leveling because you get older, you can't, you know, you get to a certain age, but you get to a certain level and you're trying to make a career out of this. Like that Bars of Fire backpacking shit ain't flying the way it ain't flying. In our era, it did. You could make a hit song and still be mad lyrical. And I find myself when I go in the studio to record a record that's more radio friendly or club friendly, I do find myself dumbing down my lyrics a little bit. And as painful as that is, this is the industry where you got to do that. If you're trying to make a living in this, you gotta sit down and just write a song sometimes, dude. And that's what keeps me going. I wanted to ask you, where are you at as far as your putting down songs or putting ideas? Are you still doing it like Old Man River? Are you still the pen in the pad or the pencil in the pad, or have you upgraded to the tablet and the smartphone? The reason I ask you is in the song Nowadays, me and you did, there's a bar where you go, I do it old school, pen in the pad. I can't remember verbatim. I can't remember the bar, but you say no smartphone, no tablet. And I just want to know, do you still have that mentality, Clean? Are you still doing it that way?
Well, I have a smartphone and a tablet, but I don't use them to write. I still write with a pen and a pad. I'm a creature of habit, and I see friends of mine write verses on their phone, and quite frankly, my thumb muscles don't work that fast.
You are a beast, sir. I do not have that ambition. When I write, it goes right into that. It goes. These Twitter thumbs get to working. When I write songs,
you can also do like you can do like hit the button and like speak it into it.
Yeah, you got talk to text. I don't do that, but I still use these thumbs. But my pen game is dead, bro. Like I think I tried to write a bar once, and I looked like Jim Carrey in the movie Liar Liar. I was like, the pen is bruised. I could not. I was like, dude, I can't rock that way anymore. Like when I write these days, I type it, dude. I get in that note app and I get to work.
I don't know. My brain is all over the place. When I tried a couple times on my phone at the BC lab back in the day and even recently, and I can't. I need to scribble. Cross.
I remember.
Right.
I remember. I used to know you were at the studio because there was a pen and a pad there, and I was like, "Yep, that's clean."
Yep.
So I'm gonna ask one last question, through sort of winding down on time. And then, Laren, if you have another question, you can add it. So my question was another song I really liked of yours, and I apologize if I got the name wrong. I think it was called like Swollen Pride. Is that the name?
Yes.
Of the song you did? So I thought that was another good song. And I wanted you to sort of elaborate. There was a part in the song where you talked about how you met with an A&R, and they were saying like, oh, you can make like a career, or you can do some stuff ghostwriting, but other than that, like we have nothing for you. So what I wanted you to sort of go more in depth with that in terms of, I'm assuming A&R was like for like a bigger like label, and sort of how, I don't want to call it like, if you had gone with them, you wouldn't be selling out, but like your choice to be like, no, I want to stay true to who I am, the music I want to make, and I want to be the featured artist as opposed to writing for someone else.
Yeah, like when I got told that, I kind of, it was almost like a backhanded compliment. It's like, okay, we know you're talented, but we can't market your look. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm talented, but they want me to be like the puppet master pulling strings for somebody else. And I would still be doing what I love, but I would be doing it for somebody else, and that was the turnoff for me. Like even with the money that was on the table, I had I think it was we tried and we got rejected by 3 different labels. But it was the 3rd label where the guy that said that to me, he was like, you know, we can't really market your look. We know you can rap. We know that you can make songs that are catchy, but I don't know.
Clean, who was this with? Was Ron Village, or who are you referring to? What group?
What group?
When you were shopping, or was it just you yourself? I thought you had mentioned you were with a group. It was just you shopping yourself to labels?
The first one was me and Keenan back in the day. We got approached by a label called New Tribe, and we liked New Tribe because they put out some stuff with Funk Dubious and a couple other groups that we were listening to at the time. The second one was a guy from Interscope, believe it or not, reached out to Keenan, a guy by the name of Scott Igo, and he said he heard from a guy that we ended up finding out later was one of Puffy's right-hand man by the name of Derek D. Angeletti.
Oh shit, D.
Yeah,
Mr. D. himself.
To Keenan and said basically, you know, you guys are good, but we don't think you're going to be the next stars. So when we get told stuff like that, it's like, okay, they know we're talented, they respect us, but they basically can't really do nothing for us. They just acknowledge that we have talent. So it's cool, but it's like, okay, now what? So and to me, it was cool that somebody that higher up on the food chain heard the music and liked it enough to get back to us, but at the same time, it was like, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. Now, in a way, like you said, it's a backhanded compliment. And I don't want to put myself in your position, because obviously, like, you're the one who's like trying to, you know, get signed or like make a living off this. Like, it's got to feel like, hey, like, I know that I've got the talent to do this, but they're maybe not what they're looking for. But I also feel like, in terms of like the essence of hip hop, where it was like, oh, it wasn't meant to be for radio, it wasn't supposed to be, you know, like this. It has become a money generating machine. But like, do you at least take some solace in the fact that, like, man, like I'm doing like the exactly what it was back in the day. Like, this is what the essence of hip hop is supposed to be, or at least was.
It definitely does. It makes me know that it's not all for nothing. There are some people that actually give a shit, and those are the people that I love more than anything. One of my later, may have been my last Foundation show. One of the reasons I rocked it was because, believe it or not, somebody from BC at the time told me that Lil Wayne had heard one of my songs. Or Lil Wayne, like in like the late 2000s, Lil Wayne was the guy. Lil Wayne was the shit. And I can't remember. Somebody said, I think somebody was just gassing me up. I can't remember. It may have been Dizzy. It may have been somebody else that said he may stop in at the Little Rock. But I remember I went there just to chill.
Boy.
I went there just to chill, and somebody was like, "Hey, can you perform tonight?" And I went up, and I think I only did like 3 songs, but it was cool. It was cool that I don't know if it was bullshit, but it was cool that somebody as famous as him actually knew who I was. But again, when nothing came from it, I was just kind of like, okay, like at this point, I'm used to it. I'm going to still do it because I still love it, like I said before. But I don't, you know, back in the day when I was like a youngster starting out with the cassettes, I would hear people say, oh, I can get this to Russell Simmons and I can do this and that. And I would be like, oh yeah. Like when I was like, you know, 18, oh yeah, you can do that. But now I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. If they reach out, great. But if not, you know, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's same here. Again, that's something I could all so much relate to is the pipe dreams and the empty promises. And I've given my CDs away back when CDs were still a thing. And even now, I've shot so many links to people, and I've heard the same thing, man. Well, we can get this to somebody. We can get this to somebody. You know, I used to do shows with an A&R company because they liked me as an artist and they wanted to sign me, but I had to kind of prove myself. So right around like I was probably in my early 20s, and this maybe about 15 years ago, I had like A&R from Interscope, you know, at a lot of the shows I were doing, and I think somebody gassed me up the same fucking way, and told me that Jay-Z at that time, you know, think about this. This is what this was the retiring Jay-Z is the king of God of everything. Jay-Z that we're talking about. So this was about 05. This is when he was doing the whole retiring ploy. So he was the god of everything. So same thing. When somebody told me that, dude, I got on that stage ready to die on some Biggie shit. Like, I was like, I'm going to die tonight because I'm not fucking around. If this nigga walks through the door, I am going to perform like nobody's fucking business. And I tore the fucking house down. So I know that feeling, dude. I also wanted to say, too, I also know the feeling of being told you're too old or you don't look a certain way. I've gotten that many times. Look has never been really a big thing for me because I've always looked relatively young, and you know, being African American, it's a little bit more because it is a black man's game. They don't really hawk that at you too much, the look wise. But one thing for sure I have gotten a lot of is you might be a little bit too old. You might be a little bit too, you know, up there in age. So what ends up happening is I get the same shit that you get, but I also get the, you ever thought about just writing for somebody? You ever thought about, you know, you're kind of, you know, you're not as young as you used to be. You ever thought about being an A&R? And I would love to do those things, but I still want to rock the mic. I still want to be an artist. So
yeah,
I feel
that
you.
was my thing too. I still wanted to do something for my.
I want to rap, dude. And so I feel you when it stings when you hear that. It's one of the worst things. It's one of the cringiest things you could hear from a person is you ever thought about just writing, ghostwriting? And it's like, yeah, but goddamn, motherfucker, shit, I ain't that goddamn old. Calm down with all that. So I feel you on that, man. I know Vince probably. I think he might have another question for you. He might not, but I do want to say before we go, I wanted to reminisce on some funny broken complex moments during our run. Well, during my run while you were there, which was the 3-4 years you were there. I wanted to bring up, so when you finally joined the tour, and it was the second leg of the tour, and we were in God, where the fuck were we? There's two memories, and they both involve Uncle D, and you're gonna remember these. You probably know where I'm going. Do you remember when Uncle D climbed on the speaker and grabbed the ceiling fan at that spot? Where the fuck? We were at some place in like Santa Monica. It was the last. We were back in LA, and we were at some club. And Uncle D used to get lit. Remember, he used to get trashed.
Yeah.
He did not give a fuck, dude. And Vince, this I think I've told you this too. Uncle Disco Romo used to get obliterated. He would get so fucked up. And I already knew, like, I would see him at the bar going hard, and I would say to you, or I would say to Hoppa, and I'd be like, it's gonna be one of the shows. I'm like, he's gonna wild out, and it never failed. He did not give a fuck. But do you remember when he grabbed the ceiling fan in mid spin?
Yeah. I thought for sure we were gonna get kicked out of that venue, bro.
Oh my God, I'll never forget that shit, dude. I will never forget that, dude. He literally jumped on the stage, which was he's good for. Jumped on the speaker, and this thing was like going, and he was so drunk he didn't give a fuck. This motherfucker reached and in mid fucking spin, grabbed the ceiling fucking fan blade, and almost ripped it off the ceiling.
Yeah.
I remember me and you, because we were performing with him. Remember me and you looked at each other and like literally put our mics down, and I was like, dude, I'm done. I got the fuck off stage, dude.
Yeah, it was towards the end of the night, and honestly, I didn't see how the show could continue after that. That must have been our finale. It had to have been our finale.
And Clean, do you remember another Romo? Remember when he was fucked up in Vegas when it was me, you, and him performing? We were the only three, and he did the standing on the speaker thing, and rest in peace to Sweet Baby Ray. I want to say rest in peace, man. He was I think I had told Vince about him. He was one of the like OGs of BC. He was a friend, really good friend with Hoppa. He was a DJ for the label. Big, heavy set dude. He always used to pop, lock, and dance. And sadly, he passed away. That was tragic. But
Yeah, it was sad.
it was real sad for everybody for that was a part of BC at the time. So rest in peace to Sweet Baby Ray. But I remember he had to hold Romo around the legs because Romo almost fell off the stage in Vegas. We were at the spot in Vegas.
Yeah.
And you were pissed. Clean, Vince, when I tell you I've never seen Clean mad, Clean was pissed, bro. That was the first time I think I ever saw you mad.
Well, here's the thing. I really did. You never want to talk to one of your peers like you're their dad. Like, hey, you better not do this. You better not do that. We're all grown ass adults. Some of us can hold our liquor. Some of us can't. I never really worried about that. My thing was, whenever I saw Romo or anybody else like you said going ham, my
pounding, yeah.
Be able to perform. Do whatever you want when our set is done, but let's rock the show. I don't care what happens after the show. Let's get through the show. But like Romo, he would always he would leave it all on the stage, and he didn't give a damn.
No, he didn't, dude. He was something else, dude. That dude would get plastered, and like Clean said, we would always know it was going to be a terrible show, and it was. He would get on stage slurring, and he just did not give a fuck, man. Another funny experience, man. Another funny BC thing is when we were. I think me, you, and Laz were. We were in San Francisco. Remember we did that really cool spot in San Francisco? Yeah.
Opening for Souls of Mischief.
That's when we opened for Souls of Mischief, which was a fucking honor. Again, I think I told Vince about this. So BC, and this was the show I was the most proud of with us because Clean, if you remember, every artist, just with the exception of Syra, who was never the fuck around anyway, every BC artist was there that night. Me, you, Roma was there, Minus, Laz, Hoppa, the whole crew. I think even General Pop was there. I don't know. I don't remember. But I remember the entire crew being there that night. And it was an honor because we were opening for Souls of Mischief. And it was a great show. We rocked out. It was a packed house too.
Yeah, it was really dope.
It was a packed house. And then we got to meet them backstage, which was fucking dope. And they gave us our props. Remember, they were like, you guys were dope.
They were cool as fuck. I remember that. It was really cool slapping hands with them and getting to talk to them for a few minutes. It was really cool memory. Right.
It was dope because those guys were legends that we grew up on, dude. So when I remember Hoppa telling us Souls of Mischief, and I was just like, 93 till Souls of Mischief? Like, yo, that was I rocked to that fucking, not just that record, but I think I remember that album, dude. And so the funny memory is I think we were leaving from there and we were heading to like a hotel, and me, you, and Laz chiefed a little bit. I wasn't much for chiefing. You guys were the big weed smokers. I was kind of, Clean will tell you, you rarely saw me smoking. Like on the tour, I got fucked up. But Clean will tell you, I was always the straight edge guy. I would drink, but I never really chiefed the way these guys did. But
drinking's not exactly straight edge, just so you know.
I know. But I mean, as far as the drug use or getting high, like everybody would toke up, and I was like the last to do it. And Clean will tell you, I was the square when it came to that. But I remember one time we were heading to a motel, and we were so high. I think we stopped at a Carl's Jr. And I think either Laz or you, I can't remember. We laughed about it when we got to the hotel. We ordered like a 75-piece chicken tender fucking shit that was just out, shit they didn't even have on the menu. And there was only 3 of us. And we were like, hey, what's the big? I remember Cleveland was like high as fuck. I think he was talking to the person, and he's like, yeah, what's the highest count you have? And they were like, we have like 100-piece, and we ordered every fucking chicken fucking tender in the world, dude. And we got back to the room and fucking ate that shit, and we were just high and laughing, dude. It was just another fucking memory. I don't know if you remember that one, dude. That was another good one too.
That one's a little. That memory is a little smoky. No pun intended.
Oh wait, listen. It's not. We weren't exactly sober when that happened, so but that was another funny experience, man. The reason I'm bringing this up is just I had some great times with BC, man, and I had some great times with you, and I have to revert back to the statement I made earlier that me, you, and Laz were money, dude. We were gold. Whether we were hanging out, whether we were doing a record together, the three of us were like three peas in a pod, dude. We were also the three that got along the most during that time period because Midas was like awkward and weird towards me. Romo was silly, but you know Romo gave no fucks about nothing. Like he was so outrageous, dude. He would like puke and film it and tell us to film it like on tour. And I'm like, Romo, I'm not filming you puking right now. Like, stop.
Romo went hard all the time. Like he got the most out of it. He definitely got the most out of it.
He got the most out of it. He was cool as fuck, but I didn't vibe with him. And you know, me and Hoppa were off and on. Like me and Hoppa were real cool, but it was still a boundary there. I felt like the three people that had the most in common, at least during my run, I can't speak for yourself or Laz, because you guys got to BC before I did. You guys were already there. But as far as my time there, I felt the three of us meshed the best lyrically, record-wise, and I also think we meshed the best hanging out. Because I think we were like, at the point, especially right around the time Hoppa started becoming estranged to us, I think we were the three that related to each other the most, and we would kind of be like, yo, we're all we have at this point. Like, it was just me, Laz, and Clean, dude. So I treasure.
You were a great addition to the roster. I really liked you when I first heard you, and I agree with what you said.
Thank you,
when there was a song with me, you, and Laz, you knew who was who. When I was a kid rapping, I hated my voice. I thought it was a cross between a higher pitched Q-Tip and Magoo from Timberland and Magoo.
I can hear it.
Another reason I was self-conscious to rap at lunchtime. But
you definitely rap better than Magoo. No.
Thank you, but like Laz's vocal tone kind of reminded me of a early kind of Eastern Conference rapper. Remember Yak Balls?
I think so.
Laz's vocal tone, his voice, not what he rapped about, but his voice kind of reminded me a little bit of Yak Balls. I didn't like my voice.
Who's the dude that sang "Back in the Day When I Was Young, I'm Not Again Anymore"? That's who Laz used to remind me of. He had the same kind of style like that dude, but it was a little different.
I loved what you brought to the table. Your kind of New York swagger. I thought like you commanded a certain presence. You weren't timid. You weren't shy. You grabbed the mic and you were like, "My name's Max Starr, and you're gonna dig me, even though you might not realize it yet, but you're going to." And I respected your confidence, bro. I respected you a lot. Like, I was gonna ask you a question. Of all the BC collab joints that we did between 2012 and 2014, I got my favorite, and it's the one you did the hook on. It's "Idol Worship."
Oh, I fucking love that song, bro.
Which one is your favorite, bro?
I have to go with "Idol Worship," dude. That was the same thing. Like
I played the hell out of that one. Out of Summon the Snakes, Good Old Days, all of the stuff that we did. Like, "Idol Worship" to me was like the one.
"Idol Worship" was dope, dude. DJ Mister produced that. He had a dope track, and that sample he used with that Spanish guitar was fucking money. And that's what inspired me to do the hook. Because I'll never forget, you and Laz had left the studio to go do whatever. You guys went outside. And I was like, Clean will tell you, and kind of Vince, at this point, like he said, I would command a present, but I was so adamant about doing the hooks for every fucking BC song. I was like, I want to sing, let me do the hook. I got dope hooks. So I was very adamant about it. So when you motherfuckers left, I was like, yeah, I'm going to sneak in this hook. And they're going to come back and they're going to hear this shit.
You were like the BC French Montana.
Yeah, dude. Who was it? I think Eraserface and even Hoppa. They used to call me the Drake of BC because I always had fucking hooks. I always had some T-Pain shit going, and I don't mean auto-tune, but I always had some catchy hook. I just was so adamant about it. But I remember y'all left and went outside, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to hit these. I'm going to do this hook. So I was like, this is the perfect time to do it. So Mr. put me in the booth, and I started the melody, and I heard the Spanish drums, and I started this melody. And I remember you guys came back after I laid my vocals, and not only were you satisfied with it, but I remember Laz was like, "Damn, we go outside for 1 minute, we come back, and Max is on some Justin Timberlake shit." Vince, when I tell you I layered this shit with so many dope ass harmonies, I was like, "Yo, I want this hook to be epic."
And Worship was hard, man. I really dug it. I really think that we maybe should have pushed that one. It was catchy.
We should. It was very catchy, dude. That could have easily been a single. And that's the thing. During that time, me, you, and Laz, and management, we were trying to use that whole funk volume thing to ride that wave and tell out, but like, yo, we've got some dope songs. You should be pushing this shit as singles. Like, this could get us some shit, and it did. It got us some exposure, but there's a lot more you could have done with it. Idol Worship definitely was, and it was a dope little video. We shot a little low budget video to it where we're outside, and the camera angles were pretty dope, and it was the I think you were wearing a specific shirt in that. Was it the Stay DC Fresh shirt? It was because you
saw in the Anthem video.
That's right. You used to wear some. That's another thing.
CLEEN used to wear video. I wore the red T-shirt, but instead of saying Coca-Cola, it said West Coast Classic.
That's right. CLEEN was known for rocking the coolest and most unique fucking shirts, Vince.
I like in Ferris Wheel, you're wearing the I think it was Beastie Boys, but it was like the Knicks logo. That was like really cool.
At this point, y'all, I'm just glad if I can find something that fits me.
No, you definitely rock some cool shirts, man.
I got a shirt. It says Pink Floyd.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice, dude. There you go. See?
I did have to say, because you kind of mentioned before how you weren't a big fan of your voice. I actually really do like your voice. I feel like it's, I feel like when I first heard it, because like Laren showed me like a lot of BC stuff from back in the day. And I think it was the intro or the anthem, whatever, like where everyone kind of came together. And
I literally flooded Vince with that. I was like, Vince, you gotta watch this shit, dude. It's great shit.
so I remember like when I heard you, like something about it seemed distinctly West Coast in a good way. Like it sort of reminded me of like sort of like E40, Too Short. It's something about it. And also I love the fact that it's like very kind of nonchalant in a way where like almost reminiscent of like Rakim, where it was like, oh, you don't have to be like the loudest guy in the room. Sometimes you just do it. And there is like a quiet dignity and presence to your vocals as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I tried back in the day when I was cutting cassettes, I tried different stuff. I tried to do the multiple punch-ins. I tried to do the layer where you spit the same verse on top. The Tupac did a lot of layering.
Yeah.
I tried to like kind of be loud and do like the Onyx thing, but like I always thought to myself, okay, this might sound cool on wax, but how am I going to perform this? So I figured it just made sense for me to just go out there and like you said, make it sound like I'm talking, because sometimes I'll talk to people and they'll just start giggling and I'm like, what are you laughing at? And they're like, I'm listening to your voice and it kind of sounds like one of your songs. I feel like you're going to start flowing right now.
No, it's true.
That's true though, because and then even like because Laren sent me some stuff of you like doing live performances, especially like right before the like pandemic hit, and your live performances sound a lot like your records, where it's like, okay, you don't have to like worry about replicating that. It's like, oh, this is who you are. And I think that goes back to the authenticity factor that you bring.
I practice meticulously. I hate being unprepared. I learned very early on when I was coming up that like a few years after me, there was this other group of kind of rappers out here that was like, I don't know, about 10 or so years younger than me, maybe close to y'all's age. You guys said you were in your 30s?
We're close to 40 at this point.
Okay, I'm 44, but like I got some friends.
Speak for yourself, Vince. Speak for yourself.
I'm only a year older than you, but like we're closer to 40 than we are 30.
We've got more. What to say? We got more days behind us than in front of us, I guess we could say. I don't know.
Well, I learned early on that when there was like a whole kind of new generation, and I hope this doesn't make me sound arrogant, but when there was like, I realized there was a bunch of youngsters that kind of came up listening to some of my early stuff, and I figured out early on that they some of them looked at me as like a leadership role. So I couldn't half-ass anything, and I hated being unprepared. Every now and then I'll show up someplace and somebody will be like, "Hey, we got Clean in the house. Let's bring him up here for a freestyle." And I'll just be like, So I always, they say, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So I would always get it in my head, you might get pulled on stage tonight. You might have to get the flash drive out of the trunk and do a set if somebody can't make it and they need to fill the time or whatever. So once I figured out that I kind of had that leadership role, I knew that I had to take it serious. I couldn't like when someone's freestyling. I hate when they're freestyling or when they're doing a song for the first time and they're like, "Yo, da 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 da, I fucked up," and it's like, well, if it's the first time you're performing that, they don't know that. Just keep going, bro.
Stop snitching on yourself. Yeah. Stop snitching on yourself.
I don't know. I hold myself to pretty high standards, so sometimes I have to check myself when I start cracking the whip on some of the youngsters that I'm around. But like, I learned early on that I couldn't be caught unprepared out here. I had to be on my shit.
Yeah, you didn't want to be out here looking crazy, man. And you, like Vince said, you're a spitter. You're a spitter's spitter, dude. You are a rapper's rapper because you get in that booth and you just drop bars, dude. There's no theatrics and there doesn't need to be. I mean, save that shit for me. Like, you both know I'm the most theatrical fucking rapper on the planet. But that's me. That's my style. It's what sets myself apart. And there are times where I'm like, boy, it's gonna be a fucking nightmare performing this shit. But it's like that's what differentiates me. And I do it because I want to have that unique style. I'm also an actor and a comedian. So when you I always incorporate my, not just personality, but I incorporate my acting and my comedy into it as well. So that's where a lot of that comes from, my animated, multi-layered style. But you definitely, Clean. You just get the job done, bro. And I respect that. I appreciate it. That's some old school shit. It's some, and it should be some new school shit, because a lot of rappers get in that studio and they waste time. Even with all my theatrics, like Vince actually came to one of my studio sessions. Even with all my theatrics, I got the job done. I got the job done. Rappers will get. I was still quick and on time about it. If I fucked up, I was like, hey, let's do it again, because I've been doing this for years. But there are rappers that are like me, have the theatrics, but they will waste so much fucking studio time, dude, and not get the shit done. And it's because they're too busy trying to be cute. And you're not in there to be cute, man. You're in there to show these motherfuckers that not only are you a vet, dude, but that you does this, and that you do, my friend. That you do.
Much love, Max. I agree with you 100%. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to be in a place where you're literally paying by the hour and you're in there bullshitting or talking about something that ain't music related. It's like, dog, you're in a studio. Like, don't talk about, hey, let's meet up tomorrow and play poker. Hey, let's go. Like, no, you're in the lab. Put a beat on. Let's start writing. Like, I like being productive. I like going to the lab and then coming home with something new to listen to. And like I said, sometimes I'm a little too, I got my tunnel vision. I'm a little too workaholic, but I know that, this could all end tomorrow. And I'm proud of my catalog. Like you said, I'm proud of my body of work. I hope people like my new shit that's going to come out in a couple of weeks as much as they like my BC shit. I hold it to the same standard.
Cool, man. Well, like Vince said, we're going to kind of wrap it up, and I appreciate you for coming on the show. I appreciate every gem you drop, dude. You're definitely a veteran in this game. I guess my only really final question to you, and if Vince wants to catch the tail end of this, he can. Are there any regrets? Are there any feelings of, damn, I wish I got the major record label deal? Or is it the, damn, I wish I would have went this avenue. Damn, I wish I would have changed my style. Damn, I wish I would have changed my look. Like, it doesn't sound like you are, but you never know. I always ask because it's an interview, and I'm curious, and the viewers are curious. Do you have any thoughts like that? Are there any regrets? Are you ultimately content with your body of work and your career?
Ultimately, I am. I'm kind of sometimes I have I go back and forth between everything kind of works out the way it's supposed to, or when something goes wrong, I'm just kind of like, well, sometimes shit happens. But as far as myself and my music goes, I kind of feel like everything just kind of worked out the way it was supposed to. I don't even know how it would have gone if D Dot called and said, "Hey, we love you guys. We're gonna fly you to New York." Like if everything was kind of flipped around, who knows how it would have unfolded. But like I'm good where I am. I'm content with where I am, and yeah, I'm cool. I remember when Jon Stewart, before he was on Comedy Central, remember when he had a late night show?
I don't remember that. No, I don't.
He used to
No,
have
I
the
remember
show
that.
on,
Yeah.
and one of his guests was Ice Cube, and I think it was when Ice Cube was promoting We Be Clubbin'.
Oh.
Ice Cube was very anti-major label at the time, and he was like, "This is when we were kind of getting those letters from New Tribe and Interscope and stuff." And Ice Cube of all people, was like, "Major labels suck. Your best bet, if you want to make more money and own your masters, your best bet is to do it independently." And I was listening to, like I said, Anticon, Atmosphere, Dilated, Jurassic 5, all the indie stuff, but I was also listening to Power 106 and whatever they were pushing at the time. But like in the early 2000s, going back to what we talked about earlier, like it was kind of cool to ditch the majors and kind of go the indie route. So I'm kind of glad that things worked out the way they did. Like I said, who knows what would have happened either way, but I'm good where I am.
No doubt, man, no doubt. I'm gonna be honest, and it may be because I was significantly younger and stupider. As much as I love the indies, I wanted no parts of that shit in the early 2000s. I was like, I need this major label, and I had so many major label like opportunities, and it just didn't work out. And but I being older now, I'm glad I have been relatively independent my entire career as well. And by the way, no means am I saying we're hanging up. Me and you have our best days ahead of us. So don't. I don't want to make it seem like we're. This isn't a clean and max star retirement announcement. We're not doing the
No
Undertaker.
white morning for us, not yet.
No, not yet, dude. You yourself, because you're our guest. You've got some of your best days ahead of you, man. Because you are an OG in this, and you've been killing it for as long as I've known you. Which is obviously, like I said, it's been about a good 10 maybe 11 years I've known you off and on, man. But no, I did. I had aspirations. I wanted to be the star. I loved the indies. I was a backpacker. Same thing. I listened to Idea. I listened to Underground Eminem. I listened to Tech Nine, Dilated Peoples, Divisionaries, all that shit, all that real hip hop. But my mind was like, I want to be a star, dude. I want to be lyrical and still drop shit. But I'm trying to get this Nelly money. I wanted to be where Nelly. I wanted so bad to be with rubbing elbows with Nelly and 50 Cent in the early 2000s. That was my shit. And it didn't work out like that because that wasn't my path. Just like certain paths that were given you, it didn't work out. Everything happens for a reason, bro. And we have to be content with that. We absolutely have to be content with that.
It's tempting. It's a tempting life. You see the videos. You see the bottles, the girls, the money, everything, the bright lights. It's you're not wrong for wanting to be a part of that. You're not wrong at all. It's very tempting.
Absolutely, man. Once again, it's been a pleasure having you, man. I don't know if Vince has any parting words for you.
I was gonna say I just like a lot of stuff I listened to reiterated that I'm liking your stuff. Laren sent me some links to listen to you, but for listeners who don't have those links, where can people find you on social media?
On social, I'm on Facebook, Instagram as OG Clean. If you go on facebook.com/OG and then spell clean with 2 E's, CLEEN. Same thing on Instagram, OG Clean. My Twitter handle, which I made first, it's that guy Clean. I'd like to change it, but I don't know if I can at this point. But my YouTube channel is Rapping Dr. Phil. Because I got that once. I love that guy that looks like Dr. Phil. Oh, thank you.
Nice.
You don't look like Dr. Phil, though.
No, you look
I
nothing
appreciate
like
that, Vince.
Also, shout out any future projects, albums, shows. What do you got coming up? I know. Listen, I know it's not easy to say that, and that's not an ideal thing to say right now in a pandemic. But still, there's light at the end of this tunnel, man. So this will go away at some point. So what do you even during and after? What do you have? What future stuff do you have coming up? Shows and projects and music.
Next week, I go to mix down my new mixtape project. It's going to be called Lancaster Drive-In, 18 tracks. And I'm currently working on 2 different other projects at the same time. Me and the homies from out here called Pose Crew. Pose is an acronym. POSE stands for Pure Old School Energy. Me and the guys from Pose Crew, we're going to do a project called Ambiguous Vagabonds. That will most likely come out at the end of 2021. We're only 3 songs into that. And at the same time, myself and Elephant Gerald are working on a follow-up to Act 2. We're gonna finish off the trilogy, and we're about 4 songs into Act 3. So I'm working on Act 3. I'm working on the Vagabonds project, and I have my own solo project from other producers that I'm pushing as well. So I'm trying to stay busy. I'm trying to not be lazy.
I really enjoyed the project. It's Always Sunny in Lancaster, the Charlie mixtape. That had it will, like, in terms of like the songs, the Always Sunny intros and outros, the Dark Knight Rises, like everything mixed. It reminded me of like the type of mixtapes and projects I listened to growing up. I loved it.
Thank you. Yeah, what's that phrase? You gotta be the change that you want to see happen, or something like that. I kind of live by that. So the kind of stuff that I wish other rappers were making, I'll do myself so I can inspire others.
Excellent. Like, yeah, that's awesome.
I appreciate you guys having me, man. I know earlier Max talked about the Wake Up Show, and that jogged the memory. I got to tell a quick story about how hip hop almost got me killed.
Shoot away, man. Shoot away. Is this like a third base MC Search almost got killed by MC Hammer type of shit? Because if it ain't that type of story, then we don't want to hear it. I'm kidding.
No, this is just me and my friend Keenan just being a little too reckless. He and I had a studio appointment on a Sunday morning. The previous night, Saturday night, was the Wake Up Show, and Sway and Tech had debuted this new song by CHINO XL, who kind of disappeared after he put out his Here to Save You All album. CHINO was one of my favorites. He reappeared with a song called Jesus. I don't know if you remember Jesus. Lyrical Jesus?
I think so, yeah.
So they put Jesus on the Wake Up Show, and of course I was right there with my blank cassette. I recorded it. I was so happy. The next day, Keenan missed the Wake Up Show. I was like, yo, they played Jesus last night, CHINO XL's new single. And he was like, what? Pop it in. He was driving. I was riding the shotgun. We put it in. We cranked the volume all the way up. We take off. On our way to the freeway on-ramp, we had the music playing in the car so loud. We had a green light. But the music was so loud. As we were pulling through the intersection before the on-ramp, I looked out my passenger window. There was an ambulance. Lights on, sirens blaring, coming straight toward us, about to T-bone us. That ambulance had to screech to a halt because we were playing Lyrical Jesus by CHINO XL so loud, the damn thing almost T-boned us right before we got on the freeway.
Wow.
We both had to stop, catch our breath, and be like, God damn, like that was... So we lowered it a little bit. We kept bumping it on the way. But like, yeah, man, hip-hop almost got our dumbasses killed. We just... we were playing it so loud we didn't hear, and like it was literally like this, like the guy, and we just kept going. We didn't
like in Home Alone when the wet bandits like stopped right in front of Kevin and like his face was like right in front of the truck. It was
basically
like that
I looked out the passenger window and I was just like, and the guy that was driving the ambulance was looking at me like, what the hell, bro? And I was just like, sorry.
I love the pop culture reference. Here we are talking about all this hardcore hip hop, and Vince pops up with the Wet Bandits from Home Alone, man.
'Tis the season.
It is.
It is, man. And you know, with that being said, Clean, once again, you're a talented fella. You're an OG in this game. I have mad respect for you. You're also an inspiration because as nuts as I think you are, I really respect the fact that you still are passionate enough to fucking pound this pavement, man. And that's an inspiration for me to still continue, man, because I love this hip hop game. I love it a lot. It's weathered me, but I love it to death, man. And I appreciate the fact that you love it.
It's weathered you too, bro.
Oh, I know, man. But you're pushing it, dude, and you're still passionate, and I appreciate your passion, your drive. You're a great dude. You've always been nothing but a gentleman and nice to me, dude. And I know I'm putting you over, you know, like a like a wrestler. That's the mark in me. I'm putting Clean over. But I mean it, dude. My time with you in BC was great. Not only as an artist did we get along as artists, but we got along friendship wise. And you were one of the few people I could joke with and talk about certain things and not feel out of place.
No, not at all.
You were one of you. I'll say you, Laz. Again, you and Laz. But if somebody were to say who made me feel at home more than anybody in that record label, it was you. You were one of the first, bro. You were one of the first.
I appreciate the kind words, Max. I appreciate that, man. Like I said,
Absolutely.
I loved what you brought to the table. I thought you were a great addition.
I appreciate that, man, and it was great, and it was good to be a part of such a talented group. Sadly, every good thing comes to an end sometimes, but again, I had the most fun with you and Laz, and you were just an absolute stand-up guy, which is why I wanted to bring you on the show, because I wanted you to tell your story, and I wanted you to know that I appreciated you as a human being, man.
Much love, Max. I appreciate the kind words, and thank you guys again for having me as a guest.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for coming on, you guys. Well, you guys, that was our guest. That was our show. It's been a long ride. He is our fourth official guest. We're doing it big, Vince. We're doing it big, man. And we're bringing on people. We're bringing on people who have catalogs and people that are doing big shit, man. This guy's got a hell of a catalog. Go Google Clean. Go Google. Google and Clean connected for a minute, and I was like, go Google Clean. Go Google Clean.
Like Christmas Carol, the crawl.
Exactly.
Crawl and Clean.
There you go, making fun of my strokes again.
Yeah, hey, I don't give a shit about your health.
I know. I have a condition. You heartless bastard, you. Okay. With that being said, no, he's not. Vince is actually another stand-up guy that I appreciate, and we have the show, and he brings this show to life, just like Clean brought it to life. But Google him, CLEEN. Check his shit out, dude. It's been great. And with that being said, now it's time to say goodbye to all of our viewers. The POPCORN, the BOOZE. You like that little high note I just did right there? You like
was
that
that
little
a high note? It was like a high screech.
It was just annoying noises. Sorry. that I tried to pass off as a great note. Not that great of a singer after all. Guys,
you are. You're a great singer. That's why I hold you to a higher standard, because it's like, I know you can hit that.
Well, I appreciate that. He's actually right. I appreciate that compliment. I try to be a better singer, but that wasn't one of my proudest moments. But with that being said, you guys, you know who I am. You know how I be. I am the man. I am the ruler. And I am the master and the ruler of the world. As said by Psycho Sid in 97 when he was champ. He was over. Everybody loved him. He used to walk down the aisle and give daps to all the people. I don't know if you guys remember that. Those were good times in wrestling. That late 90s era was great. I am the Dylan. Woo! Jeff Line. Woo! Son of a gun. As said by Rickolas Flair. I call him Rickolas Flair because he's my friend. I am the pie-eating, jabroni-beating, laying the smackdown if you smell what the Rock is cooking, as said by Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I am the chapstick-using. Look at that. I am. Gotta moisten those lips. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I am the sanitizer using. Look at that. Dribble, dribble, dribble. You guys, it's getting low. I need a new one, but use that shit. It's a pandemic. And then rub it on your joints. Like Chris Rock said with the tussin. You get more tussin and you rub it on your joints. I am the solo cup drinking. Shout out to the Street Profits. I want all that smoke, nigga. I am the seasoning using. Yes, look at that. You gotta put that shit. White people, season your shit. Stop making bland chicken. Stop putting raisins in your potato salad. It's unnecessary. The man with the master plan, the one, the only, LAREN Maxstar Moore.
And I am spitting facts like 20th century technology. I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just the guy. Head of the table, Vince Eustace.
Woo! Good job, sir. Good job. I thought you were about to spit a rhyme right now. I was like, oh, it's a hip hop episode. He's about to drop these bars.
I'm inspired. I'm inspired by the talent around me.
Awesome, you guys. And you already know you have reached episode 7, season 2 of Popcorn
And booze.
And with that being said, bye-bye. Gotta go. See you later. Love ya. I love ya.